Hey everybody, my name's Calc, and I'm actually doing a bit of a review right now for the HordeTest, just to kind of let you guys know what to expect, what could be coming up. Right now, at least at the time of recording, there was something wrong with the Prime requirements. You could not get Prime for one reason or another, and there's something that they were doing on the back end to try to fix it, but I kind of decided, you know what, whatever, I'll just go ahead and run Frail. Because the Frail Elder, at least in my opinion for Troodon, is not awful, it's not bad. One of the main things, especially with the Troodon growth right now, early on, it's very easy to quickly become infertile. Trying to find food, trying to kill something that, is within your sort of punching range. Which even a chicken, when you're very, very young, is going to be way faster than you. And it's going to be hard to actually get it. Quick little tips for you guys. Chickens will always be around like the human structures. Here, I was over by the Highlands, West Texas area. You'll find them all over the place as well. Delta has got a really good chicken spawn. One of my favorite places to go right now for AI is just go straight over to the beach. The beach is going to have things like crabs, your turtles, and you can actually get compies to spawn there as well if you leave food out there for long enough. Compies are sort of like the scavengers, just like how boar now are actually eating bodies that you leave behind. I know it's causing a lot of grief and pain for some people because they just kill an AI, sit down out of stamina, and then all of a sudden a boar comes over and literally just chases them off the body. Is what it is. It sucks, but you can always find more food. There's plenty of AI here on the map. The compies, like I said, are scavengers. So if there's a body left on the beach for too long or just anywhere for too long, compies will literally spawn right there on the body. And then once you get too close, they'll start to run and scatter away. This means that even if you're just on the beach your entire life as a Troodon, you'll be able to get your entirety of the diets from it, which I absolutely love. It means that you can make the water Troodon, or the aquatic Troodon, a little bit more viable. Right now, however, the northern side of the coast, as far as I've been able to tell, doesn't spawn any turtles or crabs. You'll only be able to find them on the western coast, the entirety of the southern coast, from like the old mudflats and that sanctuary down there, all the way over to essentially the East Lake and the docks. Any further north from that spot, you're not really going to get anything out there. I don't know if that's going to be changing when the HordeTest finally comes live. I hope it does, just because it gives us a little bit more, viability all over the map here too. Over in the southwest, they've added a sort of like a mini dock or like a smaller, I guess, just landing area. Probably going to be for humans for as a spawn or possibly as like an end game point. Who knows? Super excited to see what they do with it though. You're also going to find that the food spawns incredibly high over here. It's like all over the place. And honestly, in my opinion, it actually probably spawns too much AI, at least on the turtles. The crabs, I think, is a good enough of a spawn rate. Turtles, a bit too much. Regardless of what you guys think about the I am actually enjoying the overall map changes. Obviously, with a lot of cooler spots where you can hop around, look around, kind of explore, just to kind of get the feel of what might be coming down the road. There's a couple other large human structures that have been added, especially over here in the southwest, South Plains area. One of those is like a super mega complex. Large facilities, huge crates, and essentially cages that seem to be for, possibly big dinos when they get brought in or made, whatever the overall lore of the story ends up becoming. You'll find those same cages over by the docks, and that's where Frollo, if you've ever seen his clip, that's where he found the baryonyx and the ostroraptor being teased, where they were sleeping inside one of those cages. So that's one of the cool things about the HordeTest. It encourages you to kind of explore the different areas of the map, see if anything else is opened up. Some of these tunnels have kind of deepened out. Extra facilities have been added. The nice thing about the overall environmental changes too, in my opinion, the fog, everything else, it just makes the entire game and the entire map feel kind of new. And there's also a lot of places that have been added in, but most people don't really know about because everyone's focused on playing their Rex and playing their Allo right now in the HordeTest, which is fine. I'm not knocking anybody who's doing that. But like I found this little shallow pond over here in the South Plains, South Beach area, right over by the Southwest, Savannah complex, or I guess the giant sand pit that's there. And all along here, you'll be able to find AI. And because there are other players growing here, they'll often leave food around. So so you'll be able to find your compies and everything else. Sometimes they're a little bit of a squirrely thing to grab. One of the lesser known things about the elders is they all get an increased trot speed and an increased swim speed. The Troodon especially is just fantastic in the water. Still burns a decent chunk of SAM, but once you get that hydrodynamic leveled up a few times with the entombment system, this thing just becomes a little speedboat. And because we're really good in the water and water is very loud, you can use these little spots along the beach to just kind of hang out, as long as there isn't a PT or a Herrera sitting right above you. What I've started doing for a lot of my runs, especially for Troodon, is I'll go for just the overall lifestyle and mobility perks, things like hydrodynamic, things like waiter, just because it just helps you zip around the different areas of the map a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. Troodon's also almost silent when it's leaving the water. There are a couple cases where it'll sound like it'll make a big splash. A lot of that's tied to how fast you're moving and the angle of which you kind of exit the water, quote unquote. The only major issue I think a lot of people have right now with the overall audio and environment is the rain. The rain is very, very oppressive, just in terms of how deafening it is and the sound it takes away. Whether they choose to lower the rain sound and then maybe, just decrease the other sounds in the game, they have a couple different ways that they can go about it, but it's really going to be up to them at the end of the day. But the rain and the thunder does sound fantastic. Unfortunately, after that point, the servers started to have issues. Now, I play on the US servers because I'm here in the NA, right? Usually I get a ping of about 40, 45, 50, 55, somewhere around there, even just on the high end, right? But for whatever reason, the servers were having very, very stressed performance. And I don't know if it's because there are players who are just like, oh, well, nobody's playing on the EU servers or the whatever server they normally play on. So they decide to hop to whatever is the most populated for one reason or another. Don't know why. But I even put a general feedback post where I literally said, I feel like I get more consistent performance and better performance when I play in the EU servers than I do on the US servers now. And maybe it's just me and just my own experience, but there have been times where it feels like I almost get input locked. Here, I'm just trying to eat a crab I kill, and I'm just looking forward as if I'm having another existential crisis, as if I didn't have enough of those, right? But there were also cases where it felt like it was just harder to actually hit your shots and land bites, time the bites properly, because it kept zipping my model back and forth. And then there would be times where I still have the super high ping right around 80, and I would use the pounce to try to get around and travel over these walls, and I would have almost no issues. Except occasionally my pounces would turn into jumps. And this actually starts to happen in some of my fights as well, where I'd lost a couple of entombed Troodons because I would pounce at something, it turned into a regular jump, and by the time I'm latching, they've already swung an attack on their screen and I'm dead. And it's becoming really bad with the AI, because if you guys didn't know, the AI hitboxes are not really at the front of the AI. It's more behind and kind of underneath them as well. The AI have also gotten some updated behaviors where sometimes the deer just seem to just try to run you down and try to kill you. Now, the boar will do that all the time, but I've never seen the deer this aggressive until pretty much the day of recording. Usually I wait for them to start doing their kick, their animation, I can jump off. But even then, you're seeing that it's zipping me around, pulling me back and forth. Now it's knocking me off when I pounce during an animation. It seems like the desync for the server or the prediction system that the server has is not helping the small stuff whatsoever. Trying to go in for bites, and then the instant the animation's kicking off, it's just getting me killed. If you happen to know why this is happening, let me know. But it was getting very, very frustrating trying to play this thing. Here I was fighting a fresh spawn Peppy. And my first pounce, obviously I landed. But for whatever reason, some of these attacks would cause me to get knocked off. And there was just no way for me to kind of survive these. I had found a little Allo in here. Figured I might as well just try to get some diets. Might as well get some kind of action going in here. And in chasing this guy down, it's just I turn away, and I am a full 2 body lengths away from where he is pinning me. I don't know what's causing the server issues. I do hope they get fixed before this gets pushed live, or if there's some sort of throttle that gets added on for players joining in from far away. Now, not everything about the HordeTest experience is for me or bad. I just couldn't do much with Troodon because obviously with everybody playing Allo and Wrecked, you're just not going to have a lot of good targets to kind of go up against. That's just how it is. Now, for my experience with Allo, I really enjoy the way Allo feels and plays right now. There's a couple things that are wrong, not with Allo, but actually with a lot of the matchups and other creatures in the game. We all know that the Allo has a pounce. It's essentially like a lunge that you can kind of directionally aim just like a Raptor's pounce or a Troodon's pounce. Give you context for this clip. I was about 60% grown. Now at 60%, you are like 1.2 tons, give or take. So it only takes 3 full-grown raptors to fully pin you. I heard a lot of barking, and I was partially tempted to like, do I want to maybe go in and try to fight this guy? And then the 1 bark turned to 2. And then the 2 turned to 3. And then as there were more barks, I decided to try to get out. Whether they heard me as I was moving or if they had already seen me, not sure. But I decided to try to make my way up this little rock face just to try to get away, see if they don't see me, see if they move on, because I was trying to make my way over to South Plains just to find some other AI spots. Knowing this, I obviously just try to make myself as small as possible, hide over here by the trees. But eventually, I kind of realized that, yeah, I'm not going to be able to run. They're coming after me. They know I'm here. A lot of players don't use the claw swipe on the Allo. And in my opinion, it's one of the coolest attacks just in the game in general. The interesting thing about that claw swipe, off to the sides, you use Alt and then hold left mouse button while you're sprinting. It lets you kind of do like a sidestep, which makes it really easy to cause raptors to pounce each other and also cause them to hit your face so that they actually can't pounce and latch. When the Allo first came out, its bleed was ridiculously high, especially for its SAM cost, what it did with the pin. It was just insane. Raptors were supposed to also get a bit of a buff with their bleed, but I think too many Raptors are still doing what those on the live branch do, and they over depend on that initial hit for the bleed. After they, initially fail to knock me down, they decide to try to make their way over to this rock over where it's safe. Those of you that don't know, you can just walk up this rock. You're going to see just how many bodies were made just by the pin alone. It looks like he had a broken leg, so he couldn't run from me. So that's my first little bit of food, first little meal. Now, one of the other raptors runs off into that bush over there. I don't know why. At least not at this point in time. There are a couple bugs with grabbing food as well. Sometimes you'll grab it and try to swallow it. Sometimes you'll eat it. Sometimes you'll just drop it right back down. This includes chunks of meat, everything else, but it seems to happen less often once you get past the subadult stage. Now, the reason I'm holding off and showing the rest of this clip too, you would think the raptors would kind of realize, hey, maybe we should not come back. But with all the sounds in the bushes going on, I figured I might as well check it out. Finish up getting myself some food. But at the very end, I'm going to show you just how high my bleed was for the number of raptors that hit me and for how long that they were on me for. Because I think they were trying to rely on the grapple mechanic, using the weight itself to just put me down on the ground. This raptor does the same thing, trying to pull me away from that bush, that little spot for some reason. It looks like they were all running the cannibal perk, so they could eat each other if something like this happened. Now, thinking I scared them all away, I finish up the first raptor that I killed. And I give a victory. I do like how all the calls for Allo are just variations of the letter A. Either all capitalized, angry A's, happy A's, distressed A's. As I get ready to move out over to the South Plains, because I hear all these, young trikes screaming, I decide to give another sniff. And I smell egg. I'm like, why are there eggs here? Some of the first raptors that jumped on me bled out in the time that it took for me just to get down and finish off the kill with one raptor. By the way, little Sarah, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to spook you like that. It was just a reaction pounce. No baby Sarahs were harmed in the making of this video. But yeah, one of the raptors that initially pounced me is dead here. The ragdoll physics for the raptor a little wonky right now, and I'm wondering if it's because of the adjusted weight, etc. These raptors decide to come back. I don't know if they thought that they did more bleed to me than they assumed. I was at maybe 80% bleed by the end of this entire engagement. 80%, despite how low my food was. And you're also going to see here, when you know that people are going to pounce and they're going to rely on the pounce, and you know that you cannot latch from the front, all you have to do is put your nose right at a raptor, and they're just unable to do anything. I think they were trying to open up the carcass here because this one had eggs, which if you're just eating eggs, you won't get the cannibalization debuffs like the muscle spasms. While I'm eating up the body, the other raptors start moving back in, I guess because they finished healing up their bleed. Regardless, I don't know what these raptors were thinking. The pounce from the Allo against Raptor feels very much like the Troodon Raptor matchup. And I don't think most Raptor mains have ever experienced anything like this before, where they are literally just being out-pounced by something far bigger than them. Not all the rocks work, which honestly, it's a great little buff for Raptor. Don't mind it, really. Yeah, it sucks, but you have to be coordinated enough to actually be able to use it in a fight. And I do believe bucking has been either slightly reworked, or maybe I just got lucky here as well. Trying to get these guys off me just discourage them from actually fighting me because, for one, I don't really want to fight a pack of raptors because I know how dangerous they can be. Can't knock them off on all the trees, as I discovered earlier. So what I decided to do is go ahead and push my body so that the side that he's on is uphill and in a book. So I started bucking. And when he finally decides to get off, all I have to do is just pounce and pin him. And you can see that he's trying to do the right-click bleed on me, so I'm not taking any damage here. Knowing another raptor's coming around, I just put my face in his, and that's all I have to do. This is less about how good the Allo is, and more so about just not rushing fights when you don't know the capabilities of the thing that you're fighting. Now, one thing I am a little annoyed about is the current Rex. As we all know, the Rex has a ambush sprint or a murder sprint where they are almost entirely silent. The fact that this Rex can turn that fast and that sharp and crush me when I'm well behind him on the screen, at least once the animation is done, makes me hope that they rework the crush and the aiming of the crush itself. Right now, a combination of that sprint and that crush attack, in my opinion, is a little bit too oppressive, and it's not fun to deal with. The new PT, however, is a lot of fun, giving it a spearfishing mechanic so you don't have to rely on schooling fish to just spawn around the place. You can do this in both the mud pits as well as just in any body of water. Holding right click by the water until the fish comes into your wingspan and highlights itself, lets you grab it. It's also got a fun diving mechanic to help you build up a quick little burst of speed and carry that momentum through. All you have to do now is double tap control, do it kind of slow. The smoother you do it, the more likely it is to activate on your first try. It does take a little bit of finagling to learn how to do the turning, to be able to aim, to be able to go after AI and players, because right now, if you're going too fast and you hit a player, you're going to end up falling to the ground. It's smaller than you, however, you can just go full speed and peck it. So these AI are easy pickings for us. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Love you guys so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this, and give me that hype if you think I deserve it. And remember, stay trashy. See you guys in the next one.
I like it cut, G.